This is the story of the Murdochs, a family that amassed a huge global media empire comprising hundreds of newspapers and radio and television channels, outlets the family has used to shape our world.
And thank you to my very good friend, Rupert Murdoch. There's only one Rupert that we know.
We're living in a democracy now. And your view is want to judge people by what sort of character they have.
March 1931, Rupert Murdoch is born in Melbourne, Australia. By the age of 21, he will inherit his father's regional newspaper company. It rapidly expands. 1967, Murdoch is asked if he enjoys the feeling of power he gets from controlling so many newspapers.
Well, there's only one honest answer to that, of course, and that's yes.
1985, Murdoch gives up his Australian passport and becomes a naturalized American so he can get around a law allowing only U.S. citizens to own a significant stake in American TV stations. By now he has 4 children: Prudence from his first marriage, and Elizabeth, Lachlan, and James from his second marriage. Many years later, a person close to the family will tell Vanity Fair magazine, quote, "He pitted his kids against each other their entire lives. It's sad." 1987, his best-selling UK newspaper, The Sun, where he's known to exercise close control of editorial decisions, repeatedly runs homophobic articles, including one that offers gay men free one-way airline tickets to Norway if they'll leave Britain for good. "Fly away, gays, and we will pay," is the paper's headline. 1989, The Sun runs an opinion piece calling AIDS the hoax of the century. 1992, Murdoch's newspapers run an aggressive election campaign in support of the UK's Conservative Party. When the Conservatives pull off a surprise victory, his best-selling daily newspaper boasts of its role, running the front page headline, "It's the Sun what won it." 1996, Murdoch launches the Fox News channel in the US. It is a propaganda outlet furthering the interests of the Republican Party. 2000, Murdoch's daughter Elizabeth quits the family business, effectively ruling herself out of the succession. According to newspaper reports, she's frustrated by the promotion of her younger brother, Lachlan, within the corporation. February 2003, with the invasion of Iraq imminent, Murdoch tells Australian magazine The Bulletin, "The greatest thing to come out of this for the world economy, if you could put it that way, would be $20 a barrel for oil. That's bigger than any tax cut in any country." March 2003. Murdoch intervenes with UK Prime Minister Tony Blair in an effort to speed up the march to war with Iraq. Blair's director of communications writes in his diary, "Tony took a call from Murdoch, who was pressing on timings, saying how News International would support us, etc. Murdoch will say later it is rubbish to suggest he lobbied for war." According to the New York Times, on the first day of the attack on Iraq, Murdoch watches the explosions over Baghdad on a panel of 7 television screens mounted in the wall of his Los Angeles office, telling friends and colleagues over the phone of his satisfaction that after weeks of hand-wringing, the battle has finally begun. The Iraq War will turn out to be a disaster. 2004. Fox aggressively attacks Democrat presidential candidate John Kerry, giving airtime to conspiracy theories questioning the war record of the decorated Vietnam veteran. 2008. Once again, Fox spends the run-up to the presidential election attacking the Democrat candidate, even describing a fist bump between Barack Obama and his wife Michelle as a terrorist fist jab. 2011, it's revealed that Murdoch's company hacked the phone of murdered British schoolgirl Millie Dowler. 13-year-old Millie went missing in 2002, abducted by a serial killer. In the days after her disappearance, Murdoch journalists hired a private investigator to hack into her phone. It soon emerges that his company also targeted the telephones of a grieving mother whose 7-year-old daughter was murdered, relatives of British soldiers killed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the relatives of people who died in the London Tube and bus terror attacks. The hacking scandal puts Murdoch's son James, who runs the UK newspaper business, in the crosshairs. James' sister Elizabeth reportedly tells Rupert he should fire her brother. James soon resigns. That same year, Fox pushes the racist conspiracy theory that President Barack Obama was not born in America and is therefore ineligible to be president. 2015, Murdoch offers his thoughts on climate change.
We should approach climate change with great skepticism. In terms of the world's temperature going up, the worst aspect, the most alarmist things have said maybe 3%, 3 degrees centigrade in 100 years. At the very most, one of those would come from man-made.
In reality, scientists say a 3-degree rise would be disastrous, and that the vast majority of warming is man-made. A 2012 report by the Union of Concerned Scientists found that Fox News' representation of climate science was accurate just 7% of the time over a 6-month study period. 2016, Murdoch's campaign to get the UK to leave the European Union is intensifying. Writing in the London Evening Standard, respected business journalist Anthony Hilton says, "I once asked Rupert Murdoch why he was so opposed to the European Union. That's easy," he replied. "When I go into Downing Street, home of the British Prime Minister, they do what I say. When I go to Brussels, they take no notice." Murdoch will later deny having said it. June 2016. With the UK mired in a divisive referendum campaign around Britain's membership of the EU, Murdoch's best-selling UK newspaper, The Sun, registers as an official pro-Brexit lobbying group so it can spend money on a pro-Brexit poster campaign. According to one former Sun editor,
he was in at The Sun day after day with the current editor, marshalling the coverage.
Brexit will prove to be a disaster for the UK economy. Also 2016, Murdoch's Fox News aggressively attacks Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, running extensive segments on hacked emails that are taken out of context to foment conspiracy theories. U.S. national security officials conclude the emails were hacked by Vladimir Putin's Russia. 2019, Murdoch's oldest son, Lachlan, already co-chairman of News Corp, becomes chairman and CEO of Fox Corporation. His father is bringing him into the center of the family business. March 2020, Murdoch's leading Fox presenter, Sean Hannity, calls COVID-19 a hoax. Fox will repeatedly spread disinformation about the pandemic and sow doubt about vaccines, putting the lives of its viewers at risk. It appears to be a cynical editorial decision designed to increase audiences. The following year, Murdoch will become one of the first people in the world to be vaccinated. August 2020, James Murdoch resigns from the board of News Corp, his father's company, citing disagreements over certain editorial content, seemingly a reference to Fox News giving airtime to far-right conspiracy theories. November 2020, former Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, a conservative who knows Murdoch well, offers his thoughts on the billionaire's impact.
News Corp and Murdoch have done enormous damage to Western democracy and in particular to the United States and Australia.
Also November 2020, Joe Biden wins the presidential election. Over the next 2 months, Fox News Channel will on multiple occasions launch attacks on American democracy itself. The channel will run segments claiming the election was rigged and will give a platform to conspiracy theorists to disseminate blatant lies. Court filings will later show Murdoch and his colleagues were aware they were broadcasting dangerous lies but did so anyway, fearing losing viewers if they did not. January 6, 2021. The United States Capitol is invaded in an insurrection led by Trump supporters who believe the lie of a stolen election. In the days and weeks after the riot, 5 police officers who served at the Capitol on January 6 will die. December 2022. Asked in a legal deposition whether he could have ordered Fox News not to broadcast election lies, Murdoch replied, "I could have, but I didn't." April 2023. Rupert Murdoch settles the biggest defamation suit in history, agreeing to pay $787.5 million for his company's role in spreading lies that corroded faith in free and fair elections. The enormous payout saves Murdoch from having to testify in court and account for his role in the conspiracy to mislead the country. With Rupert Murdoch, now 92 years old, the succession appears settled. Power will one day pass to his oldest son, Lachlan, the CEO of Fox News after the 2020 election, when the network attacked American democracy.